Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Three Sisters. This is designed by Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle. The artwork is by Marlise Burns and Beth Sobel, and it is published by 25th Century Games and Motor City Gameworks. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out.
When I heard this game, Three Sisters, I'm like, what is this game about? I have no idea. So we looked it up, and guess what? It's all about this Native American way of planting gardens, where there's these three plants. There's the squash, there's corn, and there's beans. And they all provide something to the other one needs, whether it's in terms of something to the soil that it needs, or provide some kind of pesticidal, reaction that, the other plants kind of are protected by. They, in tandem, those three work together. And of course, what we've done, and, we've discovered even more of those kinds of mutually beneficial gardening situations. So this is what this game's all about. You are trying to create this mutually beneficial gardening scenario. You are planting these different plants. You are watching them kind of cascade and help each other as you grow and grow and grow, and your garden kind of explodes and explodes and explodes. Oh, man, this is a whole lot of fun. Let me show you how it works. All right, here's our setup for Three Sisters. We've got two big tablets here of pages. We're going to rip off one of each for each player. We also have our round tracker over here. It's also going to tell us where our actions are. And we have some dice. We're going to roll dice at the beginning of each round based off the number of players. 4 for a 2-player game, 5 for a 3, and 6 for a 4-player game. Let's pretend we're playing a 2-player game and take out 2 of these dice and roll the rest. What we're going to do is we're going to group them by number. In this case, we have no duplicates. Whatever the lowest number is going to go right where this little Farmer Edith pawn is. And then going to keep on going up around the rondelle. The first player, which is the player holding this, is going to choose one of those dice and take the associated actions. On our board over here, it's divided up into 6 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the number on the dice over here is going to determine which area of the garden you're going to be working in. Let's say we take this number 5. That means we're working in the number 5 section. We can do one of 2 actions by taking that. We can either plant in the 5 section, which means any 2 starting over the plants, the very, very bottom spot of these open spots here, or we can water, which means every single plant that's already been planted in that section gets to go up 1. In this case, we don't have anything started yet, so let's go ahead and just plant a couple things. It's a very small board, so you probably won't be able to see that all that well. But as you can see, we marked 2 different spots on the board here, starting off a couple of plants. Again, in the future, if we were to water there, we would be able to add 1 to every single thing we have planted already. In addition to either planting or watering, there's also an action underneath it. In this case, we chose shed time. This whole little section over here on this side of the board is the shed. What you can do is the same thing. You kind of start any one of those sections. There are a ton of different special abilities, scoring opportunities, all of the things that can happen over here. There's one called the new tractor. It's worth a whole lot of points. We're going to start that one off. If by the end of the game we're able to get to that circle spot, we're going to get 18 points. Kind of all throughout this board, we have square spots, and then we have circles. The circles indicate that thing is finished, whatever it is. Or we have some kind of scoring opportunity or special ability that's going to be triggered by hitting one of those circles. Now let's say that the other player took this one. They take all their actions that go along with that. Now we also get a secondary action. Whatever the lowest die value is that's still out there after everyone takes their dice, we're going to take that action as well. So every player is going to get a 2, either planting or watering, as well as whatever is below it, which in this case happens to be an additional plant or water. So let's plant a couple things in the 2 section, and then let's just go ahead and water them right away. So that way we can finish off a section here and get a point. All of the blue kind of ribbons are all victory points. As you can see, we've now earned 1 victory point. Once all the dice actions are finished, then we go over to our round tracker. Each one of the rounds has a special ability that's going to happen. In this case, at the end of round 1, everyone is going to get a shed action, which again means we have to cross off one of these things. Let's just keep on working on our new tractor over here. At that point, the round tracker is going to go up. Edith is going to move to the next open space after all the dice were rolled originally. And we do it again. We roll the dice, we place them out there, and we take our actions. There's a couple things I want to point out to you. We have things called goods at the bottom of this page here. You're going to fill in goods as you achieve them. If you ever get to a star value, what that means is you get to take an extra free action. It can happen anywhere but the garden. But you can go to the apiary, the fruit, the shed, or even the perennials over here, which I'll show you in a minute. So the goods are a great way to get extra free actions. The compost section, when you earn those, you put a little dot there. You start off with one as well. And anytime you want to roll a dice and it's not what you want, you can cross off one of the composts in order to modify the dice up or down 1. There's a fruit section along here. There's all different fruits. There's apples, peaches, blackberries, and raspberries. As you move across there, some of them give you points, some of them give you special abilities like the ability to water certain areas, or some of them give you goods. We also have over here the perennials. The perennials can be achieved a couple different ways, but basically it's your flowers. You're going to start from the bottom and work your way to the top. Some of them will give you special abilities, some compost, some shed actions, some goods, all kinds of different things. At the very, very top, if you get to the very top of any of them, there's victory points for each one of those flowers. One of the ways you can get flowers is along the edge of the board here, there is different pumpkins. If you ever get 2 pumpkins in a row, in between them, there is a flower. If you completely finish to the 2 pumpkins surrounding that flower, you get to plant that flower as well, moving up on that track. In addition, the pumpkins give you goods. All the things inside here, all the beans and corn are going to give you victory points, but the pumpkins along the outside are going to give you goods, and of course, again, the flowers in the middle move up on your perennials. We are also beekeepers, so there's an apiary section over here. It's kind of like almost a little miniature tech tree. You start at the bottom and you go up, and once you get to that point, you're able to branch off into these different sections. This middle one is all victory points, the left one is victory points and goods, and the far right one is all about kind of special abilities. You can plant, water, fruit, all kinds of different things you can trigger from there. And again, like I mentioned, we have the shed, which is just all different special abilities and scoring opportunities that you can unlock. One last thing I want to point out is the farmer's market. There's a farmer's market board over here. A farmer's market can be triggered either by the round end. We're all going to do a farmer's market at 3, 5, and 7 rounds. But also there's a farmer's market spot on the board that can be triggered when everyone takes a dice from that section. The farmer's market has to do with how many goods you have. And let me kind of show you this a little up closer here. If you have, hardly any goods during the first time you do a farmer's action, you're going to get a free compost. If you have 4, you're going to be able to fill out any flower of your choice and get a compost. And as you can see, the more and more goods you have, the better and better that farmer's market action is going to be. So that's a great way to get your flowers moved up, as well as get some other free actions. We're going to play 8 rounds, and again, they're all going to work the same way. Everyone's going to grab a dice, do the actions on the dice itself, plus whatever below it. And then whatever the lowest dice value remaining is, you take that action and dice values as well. And then we all do whatever the round benefit is. At the end of the 8th and final round, we're going to add up all of our points from all of our different categories. And whoever has the most points wins the game.
This game had a ton of options. Like, almost intimidating at first when you're like, this is a roll and write. There is so much to do, so many options here, so much I want to get done that will not get done. Just letting you know now, it will not get done.
Unless you figured out some wet path that we don't know about.
Yeah, unless you're cheating. I mean, that's fine. You can cheat if you want. I guess it's just a hollow victory. Just letting you know that. Just putting that out there. But there's a ton of options in this game.
In fact, the combos of this game were my favorite part of all. There's these situations where, the rain would come down, and when the rain triggered, that was allowed, some of your plants to finish off. And when some of your plants finished off, that would trigger some other abilities. And you'd be able to go to the shed, make some tools, use those tools to finish off other abilities. So you had these cascading events that would just happen, just by 1 or 2 things finishing, that might trigger a whole bunch of other things finishing.
Yeah.
So I love that part of the game, and setting those combos up early in the game, so that way later on in the game they come to fruition, is just so much fun. I love all those trigger effects that happen.
So along the same lines of the trigger effects, I felt super accomplished in this game. It was definitely one to where every time I would play, it didn't really matter if I won or lost, because I really like when I set out to do something in a game and I accomplish it. And then it kind of takes away from winning or losing because I set out what I wanted to do. And this game gave me that sense all the time because of those combos. I'm like, look at all this stuff I'm doing. Really, the game's just designed well enough to make it feel like I'm accomplishing something. But it was a great feeling when I was playing it. And I felt like it was accomplishing all of this stuff by all that stuff just kind of rolling out for me.
This game, roll and writes in general, a lot of times have very little interaction between players. I'm working on my board, you're working on yours, and there's not a lot of interaction. And I have zero problem with that. I'll always be a defender of multiplayer solitaire being a completely, good design choice.
Definitely viable.
If players enjoy that style of game. Not everyone does, and that's fine. But in this case, there is some subtle interaction when the dice are drafted, and it is subtle. You're still working on your own board, but how that works out, what you take for the dice matters, because it's going to matter that dice is no longer available for the other person to take. And so if you're watching their board closely, you can kind of see some things that they might want, and you can kind of deny them that. Or you can, kind of manipulate the board so that when you take something and they take something, whatever that lowest number is mutually beneficial for both of you, which works out great for the theme. It's mutually beneficial. So that subtle player interaction with the dice drafting was really fun.
All right, everybody, here we are, our final thoughts. I have so much that I want to say, and I'm just going to say it all, so just hold on.
Buckle up.
It will just be like my show for just a couple of minutes. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I am a huge fan of when worlds collide, and that happened to me. So I have recently, shameless plug coming up. I've recently started my own channel talking about books. It's called Bethany on Books. Go make sure to find me and subscribe to me, and you can hear all my thoughts on books. But I recently reviewed a book on there called The Night Watchman, and it was by Louise Erdrich. It's it was last year's Pulitzer Prize winner. It's a wonderful book. It follows Native Americans in a certain tribe in 1953, and there were some real life things that were happening, and it was just an absolutely brilliant book. But anyway, in the book, they just mentioned, it was just like a sentence in the book where they were talking about their garden and how they had pumpkin beans and corn. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the Three Sisters. That's what the game's about. That's what the book's about. They did this thing. And I just felt like really cultured, I guess, that I saw this thing and I saw this connection and my worlds collided. I was just really excited to see that. And it did like 3 things for me. The worlds collided, which I thought was awesome, and I love that. We're in the Midwest, so just the farming and how that worked out was really brilliant, and I learned new things because of this game. Like, who doesn't love learning new things and retaining that information because of a board game? Like, we talk about all the time in the industry about wanting to create different themes, and yes, this is gardening, but it's such a specific type of gardening that they did a fantastic job of creating a game with a spin on it when it came to the theme. Like, people are always heckling for different themes, and I felt like that this did this. Also, I know people like do this in the reverse, but I enjoyed this so much that I want to see like a tabletop version of it.
A full-fledged board game.
Yes, I want to see what that would be. Like, I enjoyed this so much as a roll and write. I want to see what it would look like in a greater sphere.
I love that because everyone's always trying to make the game smaller. How can
Yes.
we take a game and make it into a dice game?
Yeah.
Well, here's a dice game. How can we make this into a big game?
Yes, I
love
know.
that.
Just because I just enjoyed it that much. Remember, it is Bethany on Books.
Oh, boy. Oh, I completely agree. I love this theme. It's so interesting. But ultimately, the last few roll and writes that I have played, I have been disappointed by. I have never been on the bandwagon of roll and writes to begin with. I was very late to the game. I was always suspicious of them. Suspicious is the wrong word.
I love it.
I was these shifty. Yeah. No,
it's a roll and write.
And a lot of times I do get let down. I know that a lot of times they're lighter, and that's not a problem. I do like lighter games, but I'm also kind of looking for more. Let's see, what else can you bring to the table? Yeah. What else is out there that you use that mechanism in a way that is super satisfying?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this brought that satisfying feeling. It did the things that roll and writes should do, such as quick play time, and it took up very little space, very travel friendly. It balances well. All those things that roll and writes are known for. But also, this came with tons and tons of decisions, combos, engine building. Those are the things I've been looking for in a roll and write, and this brought the thunder. This is so much fun. I couldn't recommend this highly enough. This is one of my favorite roll and writes right now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Oh my gosh, now we're going to have to redo our list.
I know. This would be near the top. I love this game.
We could probably do a top 10, our top 10 favorite roll and writes and our top 10 least favorite.
Probably. Wouldn't be hard. Yeah.
So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. You can also find us in a plethora of other platforms listed here. Make sure to find us on there and follow us as well, because we do try to provide different types of content for you. And let us know in the comments below what your favorite roll and write is. If there's ever been a board game that actually taught you something that you didn't know already, like I did, or if you ever had a Worlds Collide, I want to know. Let me know in the comments below.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.